Okay, so Brett and I are going to talk about the Duggar scandal. We're going to talk about the Megyn Kelly interview last night on Fox News. And just to preface you guys, Brett and I just decided to have this conversation. So I've been covering it on CNN and on HLN, so we're aware of all the facts.
And I've been watching clips for the last 10 minutes, so I'll be fine with this. No, I've been following it. I've been reading in the news from all different kinds of sources. So I feel like we're okay to have a conversation.
Right.
But we want to focus on how we feel about this whole situation and all the issues brought up.
It's our opinion, okay? So again, if it's not going to be about the facts, it's going to be about our opinion. But we will talk about all of that too.
You're right.
And we wanted to sit down because I've been berated and celebrated on Twitter for a rant that I gave on Dr. Drew.
Celebrated. You've been celebrated, which is what happens. It's a full.
I had no idea that they were going to show that within the Megyn Kelly interview.
For those of you who have not seen this clip, we're going to play it. It is one of those clips where it's a montage of all the people who are criticizing the Duggars, and who would you know would end up at the end of it.
The media pounced.
Big news coming out of the cross-section of the conservative culture wars and reality TV.
Tonight, TLC pulling its hit show 19 and Counting about the supposedly wholesome Duggar family off the air.
On the show 19 Kids and Counting, Josh Duggar and his family are portrayed as a picture of wholesome perfection.
Hypocrisy is so real with this family. How dare they shame the LGBT community? How dare they condemn them for their immoral lifestyle when the Duggars are the immoral ones? I say screw you, Jim, Bob, and Michelle, screw you.
And I was passionate. I was so passionate, and of course, a lot of people were saying that, myself and a number of other people were vilifying the Duggars. And the context before that clip, I fully have no regret saying those things because that's what I believe. But the context before that is we were talking about how Jim, Bob, and Michelle, because those are the two ones that I hold responsible, how the parents, how they are so quick to condemn, transgenders, the LGBT community, saying that transgenders are pedophiles, waving their finger at everybody else. Meanwhile, they were holding this secret. Meanwhile, they didn't do anything about their son for a year. And when they did do something about the son, and we can talk about that, were those even the appropriate measures? No. So, and then we watched this interview last night. And what were your thoughts when you watched the interview?
When I saw the interview, I don't like them.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I don't like them. I watched the show. There's a certain air of fakeness, and they're, profiting off their children. Here is a, on the one hand, here's a family that is preaching in the interview response, like our privacy is paramount. And there are certain things children shouldn't be put through in the public eye. Their whole show is about that. So they feel like they get to pick and choose what of their family they put forward for profit. I really like your comment because it focused on the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily focus on the process that the family went through when they were, figuring out what to do in this very difficult situation that they were faced. I mean, they have 19 kids. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. You have to face some very difficult situations that when you started a family, you probably never thought you'd have to face. But you focus specifically, and that's when people get passionate. It helps if you're focused on a specific point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a blanket, these people suck. It was, you can't, I don't feel like you can say that, what you said plus what you said,
Well, here's the thing. They really are saying that you're going to go to hell if you're gay. You're going to go to hell if you're transgender. And that is such a horrific statement to say because words are powerful. And when there's already such a high suicide rate within this community, and then you have people saying that they're wrong to be living their truth, that they're going to go to hell for living their truth. And then you wonder why so many of them have attempted suicide.
Right.
It's like, you. How is that Christian?
It's as simple for me to say, I believe that anyone who is a parent of a child who molests another child should go to hell and should have their show taken off the air and should be arrested. Like, I can come up with all kinds of justifications. Now, if I'm being fair about it, then I'm being fair about it. But if I'm trying to be malicious and tear people down, I mean, again, I'll say I don't really like them or their show.
No.
But that said, the thing that I'm focused on is it was illegal to release this information.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people who are rallying to the Duggars' defense are saying, listen, it was illegal to release this information. I should never know about it. So now, and this is a dynamic that I talk about a lot on this show, a lot of people gravitate to one aspect of an argument and then find moral high ground and dismiss every other issue within that argument.
Love that you're saying
And that's something
this.
that you can't do.
Right.
I can say, listen, I don't like the hypocrisy of the Duggars who go ahead and condemn entire groups of people that they don't understand, that they feel like whose rights they are taking away.
Yeah.
Not whose shows they're taking away. Whose rights they're fighting to take away.
They are.
Which
they
is
really
way
are.
worse.
Michelle specifically really is trying to
But
take away the rights.
I can also say that I think it was wrong, and I think that they probably have a very good legal ground to go ahead and sue whoever released this information and get a ton of money from it.
Yeah, so it is illegal and it is wrong, but it's also criminal and illegal to molest children. And here's what really pisses me off about this, because I've read the police report front and back like 19 times.
So we're going back from opinion into the facts.
Into some of the facts, and I don't have them in front of me, so this is just Brett and I talking, but from what I have studied, what really upset me was the fact that how this was handled. So you have, first of all, I feel like they're giving a lot of religious people a really bad name, because they're not religious, they're extremists, they're fundamentalists. If you were to see how they homeschool their children and what this doctrine is that they follow, it's really upsetting. When they first found out, it took a year for them to actually do something. A year of this. This wasn't an isolated incident. Josh was continuously preying on 4 of the children and 1 babysitter. And I can say that now because it was opened up on the Kelly file last night. 4 children, 1 babysitter for a year. This actually went on for many years, but for that first year until they finally went and talked to somebody, because they said, oh, we talked to a police trooper.
Now, from my interpretation of the interview, it seemed like it was an isolated incident by what the parents said.
Nope, it was not.
So the Duggars are saying.
Well, the Duggars really did say it was more than one incident.
Well,
they did.
They said there was an incident. He instantly came forward and apologized, crying. We didn't know.
Yeah.
The children were asleep when it happened. So, it wasn't until later when it came back, is what they said.
Well, that's not what the police report says.
Okay,
it was ongoing, and even Kelly said last night, she said, but this was ongoing. So she was holding them to the facts, and also this went on for 2 years that we know of. Who knows if it went on longer than that. And the parents did, they claim the way that they handled it was to go to this friend of theirs that was a trooper who gave him a stern talking to, and the trooper, first of all, I have so many thoughts about this because the Duggars in the interview continued to say our kid made a mistake. It's not a mistake, it's a crime. It wasn't a one-time mistake, it was ongoing. There's a pathology there. He should have had proper evaluation. He should have had proper treatment. They sent him to some Christian camp, some treatment center that they said had accredited counselors. According to the police report that I read, nobody had a license. These were like elders.
They did say that it wasn't an official license.
These were people that were also taught within their doctrine. And let me tell you about one of these articles that we found that was taught. I don't know if this is what these victims actually had to fill out, but it goes in line with the same institution that they went to, where the victims had to fill out this piece of paper that went along with their theology, and it said basically, okay, if you were touched inappropriately, if you were molested, if you were raped, sexually abused, first of all, what did you wear that encouraged this? Okay, victim blaming. The next question says, who were you surrounded with? Were you surrounded by evil people that encouraged this?
So, yes, that's terrible.
insane.
Those things you said sound terrible. Now, we get into a privacy discussion. So here's a response that I'm having as I'm hearing all this, is they didn't choose to have this, and the law is on their side not to have any of this released.
Yeah.
Now that it is released, they choose to go on the Megyn Kelly and tell their side of the story. Now, there's a dynamic in the media where we all say, okay, you're starting to talk about this. Now that you've decided to talk about this, and you're bringing up you're choosing facts to share with us about your experience. Now, am I okay as an audience member to say, you need to tell us everything? Because they tell us where they go. Now you have questions as to, did you teach this rubric to your kids? Did they teach that to your kids at the Christian camp? And do I have the right as an audience member to say, I need to hear the whole story. You need to answer that question. Did they teach that? Is this what you're teaching?
Right.
So, and then in politics, a lot of politicians, it's just you need, you know, whatever happened or didn't happen, you come out and say, I was wrong. Not, you know, if I offended people, it's that I offended people, I am sorry.
Yeah.
And this is not a blanket statement like that. That is a thing where, you know, and when it comes back down to it, as much as people who watch Fox News, a lot of that demographic is faith-based and believes it to be culturally representative of their beliefs. What is going to end up determining and what determined Honey Boo Boo and, you know, the shooting show that got canceled is the fact that sponsors pull out.
Yeah, they did.
So it seems like the part of the coalition within the Republican Party and the Fox News viewership, it is the capitalist instinct that's going to determine what happened. And I think this is the wedge issue that kind of drives apart those people.
Yeah.
Even the Megyn Kelly instinct to go have the Duggars tell their side of the story, that is financially motivated.
Right. I'm glad that she asked some of the questions in the end that were very specific, but she really, I felt, could have asked a lot more hard-hitting questions.
Yes.
Like, why did you settle on going to this friend of yours that was a trooper who we later found out had charges against him? He's now serving 45 years in prison for pornography. And she did bring that up. But then when they would answer her question, it just seems so contrived and rehearsed. I don't believe anything they say. I'm sorry. And the only people I'm concerned with are these children. I think that they failed, not only Josh, because somebody who repeatedly is molesting not one victim, 2, 3, 4, 5 victims that we know of over a period of time. And of course, they downplayed it on the show last night. They said, oh, it was over the clothes and they were sleeping.
It wasn't rape, but then there was time when he did touch under, and then he said, this wasn't rape or anything like that. It was over the clothes and then under the clothes. Like, well, that is more.
Yeah, and then they talked about the fact that, but then they talked to other families, and other families have had it way worse. And then he's asked for, you know, forgiveness from God. You can't just pray this away. When you have been abusing somebody for that long amount of period of time and that many people, it's not just going to go away. You need proper treatment. Not just some Christian counselor. You need proper treatment. You should have done jail time. You need these poor victims who don't, now Megyn Kelly's going to interview them tomorrow night, who don't even really understand the gravity of all of this. That's why 80% of victims have trouble coming out in the first place, because they either feel victim blamed, or they feel the shame, or they're embarrassed, or they just don't understand it until later on in life when it comes out in different ways.
Right. So, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, it's
we
just
have
sad.
to wrap up.
We do. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people now have a fuller context of where you're coming from when you said that, and it's totally in line with what you said when you said that.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a phone call. So.
Because I just want to say really quickly, it's not about, because I have been attacked by a number of people that claim to be Christian, saying that it was very unchristian of me to slam them. No, I was protecting a community, because I don't think that you should be preaching that they're going to go to hell when you yourself have been hiding a very, very dark secret.
Yeah, there's a word. I went to Catholic schools, and the word Christian is you know, it's a word. And you can use that word however you want to use that word, and aspects of it as you want that word to be represented.
Yeah, because isn't Christian also about love and acceptance?
But like,
and
you know,
only,
just
only
like
God can
it's
judge?
semantics, and yeah, it depends.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, I think we can focus on the word Christian. I think is very ambiguous.
Yeah.
I think if you want to focus on compassionate,
yes,
you want to be as compassionate as possible, staying true to like a code. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that we have covered a lot of ground here. What do you guys think? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Pop Trigger.